Away by Arenas, picked up by Black, back to Gilbert. And the alley-oop, one-handed slam for Wall. Magnificent play by John Wall, who one-handed flushed paired up together, and it doesn't get much better than that. Wizards up by 11.
What's going on, Wiz Nation and Mystics Nation? And once again, it's another episode of DC Hoopla, and I'm your main man, K. Jose, back again with another video, and it's the end of the preseason. Washington Wizards dropped the game against the New York Knicks, 115 to 113. Wizards end up finishing the preseason 0-4. Most people will probably not be concerned about the preseason. It's just preseason games. But sometimes in the preseason games, it usually gives you an early preview of what the regular season actually could look like. So I will briefly talk about what happened in the game yesterday. Washington Wizards actually did not play all of their starters at the end of the game. Bradley Beal only played a total of 9 minutes, and he went out with a thigh contusion. Is that a cause of concern? We'll find out. Spencer Dinwiddie played 26 minutes, finished out with 17 points, 5 boards, and 3 assists. Daniel Gafford, what can I say? This guy has been solid during the preseason. He finished out with a double-double, 12 and 10 and 30 minutes of performance. Kyle Kuzma, seems like everybody's favorite player on the Wizards, played 28 minutes, finished out with 10 points. But the play from Hal Neto, coming off the bench, 24 minutes, 25 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, literally in that fourth quarter, was just pretty much giving it to Derrick Rose, playing him one-on-one. Derrick Rose, former MVP. Of course, we know he's not the way he used to be, but he's a former MVP. But Hal Neto didn't look like he was scared at all. He's definitely competing for that backup role of a point guard. Aaron Holiday. I can't talk negative about this dude. I was concerned. I know I said it on my on the State of the Wizards with my co-host D-Can that, hey, I just thought that he was just a third player that who's probably not going to really get that many minutes. He's more of an insurance player. But he finished out with 14, 7 boards, 4 assists, pretty solid. Montrezl Harrell finished out with 11 points, 3 boards, 3 assists in 18 minutes of play. Corey Kispert came out and hit some clutch baskets. Actually hit a clutch 3 to tie the game up to 113 overall. 9 points, 1 rebound in 15 minutes of play. Denny Avdija, 4 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, but he played solid defense. Now, the Knicks, of course, kept their starters in the game. Julius Randle was the one who hit the game-winning shot, finished out with 21 and 10. 2 assists. He played 35 minutes. You look at R.J. Barrett, played 34 minutes, finished out with 18 points. Derrick Rose played 29 minutes, finished out with 28. Evan Fournier played 24 minutes, finished out with 8. Mitchell Robinson finished out with 6 and 9 and 27 minutes. So some of the key guys that the New York Knicks have, they finished the game out. Some people said it was bad taste for Coach Tibbs to take a preseason game that serious. At the end of the day, I don't really think too much of anything. But the Wizards almost won the game. You know, Daniel Gafford played good defense on Julius Randle. It was just a better shot. What can you say? Julius Randle just hit the shot over Daniel Gafford in the game. Can't really say too much. Only thing you can do is tip your hat. But there are things that I saw in this preseason game, or should I say during the preseason, that I liked. There were some things that I saw that I did not like. What I did like was the accountability. There are players out there that are playing for each other. You could tell that some players are actually playing solid D. One thing I have to say, Daniel Gafford, and of course acquiring Montrezl Harrell, these are two energy guys. One thing I didn't know about Montrezl Harrell was that he's a pretty solid defender. There have been plenty of times when he has blocked shots that I didn't think he was capable of doing. But one thing, he's also good at his rebounding the basketball. He's had a couple of double-double games. I expect that energy to continue going into the regular season, the same as with Daniel Gafford. What I also noticed is that Howell Neto, as I said earlier, is hungry. So he's definitely trying to solidify that backup point guard role. And he knows that Aaron Holiday is competition for him. But Aaron Holiday is not backing down. So I like those two guys coming off the bench to spare Spencer Dinwiddie, especially if there are times when he has to be on minutes restriction. I'm talking about Spencer Dinwiddie. Bradley Beal is Bill, but I'll get to him later. Kyle Kuzma has had an up and down preseason game. Once again, this seems to be everybody's favorite acquisition of a Wizard, where people want to see him do well. I want to see what Kyle Kuzma can bring to this team. I saw on one particular website, it was actually NBA Draft.net when he was drafted. The comparison to Kyle Kuzma was Jared Jeffries, a former Wizard. Most of you people who are Wizards fans remember the Jared Jeffrey years. Jared Jeffries never really panned out to be the type of player he was. I knew that he wasn't going to turn out to be the type of player that he was in college when he got shut down by Chris Wilcox in the 2002 NCAA championship game against the Maryland Terps. I knew he wasn't going to really turn out to be much of anything. So when it comes down to Kyle Kuzma, some people probably say, man, you know, whoever said that, they tripping. They tripping. He's not no Jared Jeffries. He might be a slight bit better than Jared Jeffries, but I think Kyle Kuzma is just going to have an up and down type season. I don't really have high expectations with him. Some of the other bad things I see, Davis Bertans played 18 minutes, had 2 boards, 0 points, missed every shot attempt that he took. This offense doesn't really fit Davis Bertans. I see him struggling in this offense. I somewhat see Bradley Beal struggling in this offense as well, because with this particular team, the scheme that we have is passing the ball around, getting other players involved. Again, you had Howell Neto give you 25. You had Aaron Holiday give you 14. You had Daniel Gafford giving you a double-double. You had Montrezl Harrell giving you 11. Spencer Dinwiddie gave you 17. Everybody is getting involved. What do you think is going to happen when you bring Rui Hachimura, who we haven't even talked about yet, who hadn't played a preseason? What do you think is going to happen when he gets implemented in the offense? People got to get their touches. So one thing that myself and DCAM both agree on is that we probably won't see that 30-point Bradley Beal again this season. I don't think we're going to see that, because it's not about scoring. You know, Wes Unseld has said that it's definitely not about scoring. It's about the defense. And there were sequences when the Wizards actually played very good defense. You know, the Wizards scored 26 points in the first quarter, 34 points in the second quarter. They scored 30 in the third, but they only scored 23 in the fourth quarter, to the Knicks scoring 40 points. As a whole, as a team, the Wizards shot better than New York Knicks, finishing out at 49.4% from the field, whereas New York shot 41.2%. We shot better from the three-point line at 40% to their 35%. But we shot terrible from the free throw line, 65.5 to their 84.2. We had more attempts, but we missed those shots. We also turned the ball over 4 times more than the New York Knicks did. We finished out with 17 to their 13. We had 4 more points in the paint, We had 9 blocks to their 5, and we were only 1 assist better than the New York Knicks. But one particular stat, another stat that stands out, is problematic, and one of the reasons why we lost this game, the New York Knicks had 12 offensive rebounds to our 6. So when you have 12 offensive rebounds, those are second chance points. You normally lose the game. And of course, if you turn the ball over, you always lose the game as well. So with the Wizards finishing out the preseason winless, I can tell you that this upcoming season, it's going to be a pretty long one. I think we're going to struggle. And then when you look at the schedule for the regular season, it's pretty brutal. So let me go over those schedules, some of those games that we have to play. Now, our season opener is against the Toronto Raptors on the 20th, on the road in Toronto. We normally don't win in Toronto, but with this Toronto team, it looks like a win. But they got a Scotty Barnes. But at the end of the day, one thing we have to keep in mind, Van Fleet has been a wizard killer. Siakam has also been a wizard killer. We play the Pacers on the 22nd at home. The Pacers have Sabonis. They have Miles Turner, who I believe will probably get traded somewhere during the regular season. And then they have Chris Duarte. We'll actually see what Chris Duarte can do. We should have drafted him, but we will actually see him up front. And then we will see the first Isaiah that we had, Isaiah Jackson, who I believe is going to make Miles Turner expendable. Then we go on the road on the 25th, and we play the Brooklyn Nets. A Kyrie Irving-less Brooklyn Nets. It's not a gimme. We play the Celtics on the road. We normally lose that game. Jason Tatum seems to get up for those games playing against us because he's playing against his boy, Bradley Beal. Then we play the Hawks. Come on, man. At home. Then we go and play the Celtics again. I mean, when I'm looking at these first few games of the season, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be very tough. And this is a brand new team, brand new coaching staff. We have to be realistic on what this team can do. And I do believe that we're going to struggle. There's going to be some games we will win and some games that we'll lose. So I'm finished talking about the Wizards. One of the things I said I was going to do in my last episode was I was going to go down the Atlantic Division and talk about the expectations. So in the Eastern Conference, in the Atlantic Division, one of the first teams I'm going to talk about is the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, they can possibly finish out 59-23. Maybe. That's the expectations. But with Kyrie Irving, you almost have to wonder, can the Brooklyn Nets be successful without Kyrie Irving? Being the fact that he's not playing due to his unvaxxed stance, I think the Brooklyn Nets still have what it takes to win the game and win a several amount of games. They have Paul Millsap, who clearly is a former All-Star, gave the Wizards hell when he played for the Atlanta Hawks. And they have Patty Mills, who is another Wizard killer, who used to murder us when he played for the San Antonio Spurs. James Harden, come on, man. What can we really say about him? And then let's not forget that KD guy. I mean, word on the street is that guy is pretty damn good. Then we have the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, they have Dennis Schroeder on the team, Josh Richardson, Al Horford, I understand he had caught COVID, Enes Kanter, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, and they should have a healthy Jaylen Brown, who missed all last season due to an injury. That's still a pretty good team. I think they're very capable of definitely being in the mix of playing in the playoffs. Stand by for one moment, people. Definitely do want to apologize. Definitely want to apologize. My dog was want to play when I'm in the middle of doing a podcast. So with the Boston Celtics, they're definitely going to be in the mix. The Philadelphia 76ers is another team. Despite what's going on with Ben Simmons, you know, there's still a team that you can't overlook. Now, of course, they have Andre Drummond to replace Dwight Howard, who now plays for the LA Lakers. Joel Embiid, that guy's pretty good too. He murdered the Wizards during the playoffs in the first round. But with Ben Simmons wanting out, will Ben Simmons finish out the season as a 76er? Or will the 76ers find a new home for him? That remains to be seen. I think Ben Simmons pretty much wants out. It's just up to the 76ers to find a suitor for Ben Simmons. The New York Knicks, who we saw twice, who beat us during the preseason, they're a pretty good solid team. You got Kemba Walker, you got Derrick Rose, you got Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett. These are young players with a mixture of older guys. And then when you have Coach Tibbs, who preaches defense, I like what the New York Knicks bring in the Eastern Conference. Now, the team that I feel in the Atlantic Division who's probably going to be on the outside looking in is the Toronto Raptors. I don't expect them to be that great. But the Knicks, I think every team in the Atlantic Division is a playoff team with the exception of the Toronto Raptors. Then when you go to the Central Division, you look at teams like Chicago. Oh, man. Chicago is an impressive looking team. Chicago, with them having Zach LaVine, he is a phenomenal player himself. But then, of course, with them adding Vujovic, which they got him in the middle of last season, them getting the acquisition of Lonzo Ball, signing him as a free agent, DeMar DeRozan. The Knicks, the Chicago Bulls got themselves a nice little squad. A squad that I think should not be overlooked. You have the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers, with them having Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert, who's recovering from an injury, TJ Warren, Sabonis, Miles Turner, which I said earlier in the podcast, I believe he will get traded. And then you got Chris Duarte. Chris Duarte is a player that I really, really like. Let me say this. D-Cam was the one that kind of turned me on to Chris Duarte. I wasn't too sure about him, but when I looked at highlights, he's definitely a player that is ready to contribute in the NBA. And I don't think he would have been a bad player to have on the Wiz. But of course, we had other plans. Then you have teams like the Cavaliers, the Pistons. These are teams that are actually rebuilding. Now, I know people love to talk about Jeremy Grant, and they're probably hoping that Jeremy Grant will eventually become a player that will get traded to Washington. I don't know how that's going to happen, especially when people are probably thinking that Davis Bertans is going to be the player that's going to be included to bring over a guy like Jeremy Grant. But the Pistons also got Kelly Olynyk. And then they got the number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham, who I actually like. We have to really see what the Pistons are going to do, but I don't really have high expectations. They are definitely a team that's going to be rebuilding. Then you had the Cleveland Cavaliers with the player Colin Sexton, who's been in trade rumors, Isaac Oroko, Darius Garland, and then Evan Mobley, who's a top pick. And then, of course, you still got that Kevin Love guy. who's still on the squad. Will he get traded during the season? We don't know. And then you have the defending champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. Now, PJ Tucker is not on the squad anymore. He plays for the Miami Heat. But I still believe that the Milwaukee Bucks can still be a champion. They're still the champions until proven otherwise. You still have to respect them. But with an MVP like Giannis, who plays on both ends of the floor, who proved to everybody he is the guy for Milwaukee, what more needs to be said of a guy like that? So what it all boils down to, when it comes down to this upcoming season, I think it's going to be a very exciting season, especially when you look at the Eastern Conference. I'm looking forward to it. Because in the next episode, I'm going to go and talk about the Southeast Division and then move on over to the Western Conference. So before I go, I want everybody to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on IG. Make sure you guys subscribe to State of the Wizards. Follow my man D-Can on the Wizards Mafia. Subscribe to his Spotify channel. Again, this is the Voices of the Unheard. We do this for you guys. And once again, I want to say, you guys have a good one. Listen to me. Listen to me. I got something to tell you. Wasn't long.